Hi there, everybody. This is Lee, and if previous noise making out of the Trump administration, and then also some actual military action from the Trump administration has not revealed something that most have suspected, and then some already knew, and that others are accepting that President Donald Trump, that regardless of his positions during his campaign rallies in the lead up to the presidential election of November 2016, that he is fully engaged in continuing the Afghanistan War, the unwinnable war, the longest war running in the United States history, and that seems to have no end and no purpose other than to create a market for arms and perhaps the extraction of mineral and fossil fuel wealth, possibly opium as well, some people say. And so we see that there's every indication that President Donald Trump is willing to go along with the program, regardless of what he said about military interventions and the fact that the recreational nature of them, not in defense of the United States, but to actually interfere in the goings on of a sovereign nation, that it's actually harming us here at home financially and morally, and that we should refocus on domestic issues that have suffered since the George W. Bush administration, and the authorization to use military force not only in Iraq but also Afghanistan, though we were not attacked, it does not seem, by either of these nations in the lead up to the declaration of war upon them. That there were false statements made, false evidence, false narratives that were used to provoke the United States in attacking these nations. And so we see that the responses to Donald Trump's efforts vary, and that there are some who are fully on board with Donald Trump showing the traditional militarism of a Republican president, that he has been finally forced as a square peg into that round hole to perform as needed to continue this sham of a tradition of military might. So there we are. And we don't hear a lot of people speaking out about that. We do see that Jeremy Corbyn has just come right out and said that the war in Afghanistan has failed. That there's an article here, UK's Jeremy Corbyn admits what most in the United States won't, that the war in Afghanistan has failed after 16 years of bloodshed and destruction. Said the labor leader, the Taliban are undefeated and terrorism is no less of a threat. And so Jeremy Corbyn is warning Theresa May, the Prime Minister, to not obediently applaud her approval or jump on board and then bring the United Kingdom with her, Great Britain, to participate in the escalation of the war in Afghanistan. So he just says the war in Afghanistan has failed. The British government should make clear to Donald Trump that his strategy of more bombing and a new troop surge will continue the failure, and that not obediently applaud his latest policy U-turn. And so there are some outspoken critics of the war, some in Congress, many who are consistent in their opposition. There's a few prominent politicians and journalists, but not nearly enough. There needs to be more. The United Kingdom, according to The Guardian, has no current plans to increase its troops its troop levels in Afghanistan, even as the Associated Press reports that Donald Trump's plan will call for 3,900 troops, some of which could arrive in the country of Afghanistan within days. And so, if you are one of those troops, if you are a family member of one of those troops, and you see that they are engaged in fighting a war with no win in sight and no end in sight, consider what that means. That we support the troops, of course, and we support them not being used in an abusive manner by our civilian government, that they should be treated than they have been treated in the past, and that perhaps this action should be questioned on whether it's still or ever was righteous, and whether it's a righteous use of our troops. Good luck.